Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thank you all for tuning in to the show. I got my crew with me, Darnell and Tyler. I'm Trey, and we are coming your way with the 64th edition of the Don't Kill the Messengers podcast. Have a lot of basketball that we're about to talk about today. First thing I'm about to get into is a little bit of NCAA basketball. I know, Darnell, you're pretty excited to hear that your boy Bridges was coming back to play another year at Michigan State University. How do you guys feel about him returning?
Well, yeah, I mean, it was huge news. People were saying it was, then you would think that he stayed. I guess I was one of those that was just like, how do you turn down being graded a top 10 pick and turn down that guaranteed money? But, a lot of people also say that, Miles is a different kind of kid. And he found a big connection with the school. So, yeah, it's big going forward. Means big things for next year, with him coming back and, even just as of right now, what they have coming in, I think that makes the team leaps and bounds better, because it gives them depth in the front court. They should be nasty next year, and still a possibility that they add another, combo guard coming in. So, I'm happy about it. I'm ecstatic about it. I can't wait till next season.
Yeah, big news if that's the team you choose to root for, Darnell. But yeah, seriously, I mean, I said it last week. I'm a big believer in if your stock's high enough, you should go. Because you may not be that high again due to an injury or really anything, any number of things could happen throughout the course of another collegiate season. But, I don't blame Bridges at all. He really seems to have found a passion at the college level, and wants to stick that out for another year. And the reason I don't blame him is because if you leave that and hire an agent, you can't get it back. So I think if, he had any doubt about going to the NBA and leaving the college, scene, coming back for another year is a good call on his part. I just don't want to see a guy leave and then say, well, I really wish I had those years back. It's, the college game is fun and it's a different world in the NBA. So he'll just have another year to grow and mature and further his game. And I expect him to take some big leaps from last year. He showed some early promise, kind of had an early injury, had kind of a little bit of a slump there toward the middle of the season and then picked it back up again in the end. So I expect him to have a way more consistent season, and just further his game. I still expect his stock to be high next year. I just feel like he's built for the NBA. I believe his game's there for the NBA. I'd like to see him try and shoot it a little bit more next year for the NBA, for the scouts to really get a good look at him shooting the ball. But I feel he's plenty ready right now, so he'll only be even more ready next year.
All right, now, I know people was talking about how, national championship for Michigan State. Do y'all think just with him returning, this is going to be a championship caliber team?
Not just from him returning. It's a big, it's a big get, almost like they re-recruited him almost, but it puts him in a much better place. But I think him along with the recruiting class they have coming in, because Michigan State's issue this year is they had no depth, with the big guys. It was Ward and Kenny Goins, and once both of them were getting foul trouble, they were playing really small ball when they had to start this game small ball. Ward's only 6'8", 6'9". So he did an amazing job, but he was guarding bigger players all year. And Bridges had to play a lot of the 4 spot. But with Xavier Tillman and Jaren Jackson coming in, who are both 6'11" players, so Jackson is already penciled in and probably playing the 4 spot. They'll probably still keep Ward playing the 5. But having that, you can move Bridges to the 3, which would probably be his NBA position. Once he fills out a little bit more and with that athleticism, so he'll be able to grow back into the position he's playing. He'll be playing in position instead of out of position. And I think they'll get back to that Michigan State type of defense where you get one shot on them and they're back up the court. Uncharacteristically, they gave up a lot of offensive rebounds this year, and that's not normal for an Izzo coach team. But they were so short, there was no handling it. But things will change coming up where now you have a couple 6'10", 6'11" bodies coming in, and also looks like they should also get Gavin Schilling back coming off the bench, another bigger forward, senior forward. So I think that just being able to replenish spots like that will, on top of getting Miles back, makes them a top 5 caliber team that you have to look at as a national title.
Yeah, I completely agree. The depth will be real big for them next year. All those young players they had last year just now with another year of experience under their belt. So, I expect them to be very good. I believe they'll start the year as a top 5 team. A lot of that will depend on, how like Kentucky's recruiting class finishes up, how Duke's recruiting class finishes up. But I expect them to be right there in the conversation and be in it throughout the entire year. They'll be scary in March, but, the problem being, single elimination tournament, anything can happen. Anyone can hit a buzzer beater. So, to say, are they going to be the favorite to win the national championship? I don't know. It's just so hard to tell in the NCAA tournament. But, like I said, they'll be in that conversation all year. I expect them to be there. And I expect them to make a
All right, now, what other players caught you guys' eye so far with their decision to stay or leave? My man Grayson Allen decided to return for his senior year.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest one, the habitual triplet. Grayson Allen coming back for another season. Probably actually a good decision for him, just because he didn't really have a great year this year. And being with how this is looked at as a pretty good draft class for the NBA this year. So I think he's one of those players that could get lost in the shuffle, especially with the behavioral issues he had this year. I think coming back would be good for him to try to clean that up. Maybe be a bigger fish in the draft pond for next year. Maybe help himself make some more money as long as he stays
Yeah,
healthy.
I agree. Grayson Allen coming back, kind of a surprise because he's kind of had a few pretty good years where he, basically was going to be a lock in the draft, whether that be first or second round. Kind of tough to determine, but yeah, I thought he would leave. Another player that I'm not really surprised left because I feel like his body's ready for the NBA is Jason Tatum from Duke as well. He's going in. He turned it on late in the year. So, when your stock gets pretty high toward the end of the year, you see a lot of players leave. A couple that I'm surprised have declared, but have not hired agents, both from Michigan. Mo Wagner, I'm really surprised by him choosing to at least work out and get a pre-draft grade. I figured he would just go ahead and return. But DJ Wilson, I know you, Darnell, said you wouldn't be surprised if he went. He's declared, but has not hired an agent, so he could possibly come back. So those are two, I have an eye on, but, two that I'm very happy have decided to go into the NBA are De'Aaron Fox and Malik Monk. Those guys can just score the basketball, and I think they'll be fun to watch at the NBA level once they mature in the NBA a little bit. Get a little more size on them. I think that they could be a lot of fun to watch. I feel like, Malik Monk has potential to be a Devin Booker type, where he can just light it up, and if he gets hot shooting the ball, probably won't do a ton much else for your team, but I feel like he has that Devin Booker style where he can just light up the scoreboard. And then I think we're all, go ahead.
I was saying, but I guess people are worried about his height as well, though, since he's more of a scoring guard, not a point guard. But I guess to bring up another Spartan to his credit, like he may be proof that it can be done is Gary Harris. 6'3", 6'4", playing 2 guard, but he's blossomed into something nice for Denver.
Yeah,
he's putting up like 18 a game this year.
Yeah, he's playing real solid for Denver. He kind of got a, and granted it's what it takes. He got a break. They had a lot of injuries, and that kind of forced him into playing time. Whatever it takes, though, right? And then I think, I guess for my last player, we're all happy that Lonzo Ball's going, and now that LeVar has hit the scene, I think we're all kind of excited to watch what unfolds next between all of them. So I know I am. I'll admit it. If they came out with basically like a Hard Knocks for the NBA and just made it about Lonzo and LeVar, I'd be tuning in.
Be an ESPN 30 for 30 down the road, man.
Yeah. But, I think, when it comes to leaving or staying for the NBA draft, we get more surprised when players leave than when they stay. I don't think we can ever blame somebody for doing either. But I think when someone stays, you just come with the mindset of, the college game is just a little different. They love the intensity that brings. And if they go for the NBA, it's just kind of like, all right, they're just ready to make the paycheck. So, I'm never one to blame anybody, but I always get a little more surprised when players leave for the NBA because, we always speculate, they're leaving too soon. You never hear somebody choosing to stay and go, and then we hear people start to say, that's a huge mistake. Because if they're good enough to leave, they'll be good enough to still make their money next year.
All right, guys. Now, is there anything else you have left to add for the NCAA before we move on to the NBA?
No, I'm going to forego a bunch of Grayson Allen jokes.
All right.
About him staying. So
okay.
I can tell you guys that.
All right. Okay, we're about to get into some NBA right now, particularly the playoffs. The first series that we're about to discuss is Atlanta versus Washington. It's currently 1-0. Washington has it. They're currently playing right now as we speak. So, see if Atlanta can tie it up. But what are your guys' thoughts on this matchup of teams?
Well, Trey, I know you picked Washington to, I believe, represent the East. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I know you have very high hopes for them. I actually really like this Washington team. I've liked them all year. The backcourt has finally taken shape for them. Bradley Beal's, I guess, currently healthy.
Yes.
John Wall has taken his game to really another level. He's getting everybody involved and still scoring the ball, which usually you see a point guard take a hit in some points if they start to raise the assist totals, but he's kind of kept both rising, which has been huge for that team. And, they got Gortat just kind of keeping track of the middle of the floor, and he's doing it both ends and getting physical and swinging arms and doing everything else. They just have a nice roster. I like Markieff Morris. I just feel like they have what it takes to give any team a run. I wouldn't be surprised, if they play Cleveland, if they give them just about all they can handle, even if it's over in 5 or 6 games. I still think it'd be a very tough 5 or 6 games for Cleveland.
Yeah, I mean, this one's going probably just how expected. Atlanta's they're playing hard, but I just feel like Washington just has too much form. And like you said, Todd, coming in late in the season, like they seem to have gelled. And like I said, the backcourt is they're scary right now. John Wall is looking like that unguardable point guard that we expected him to become, but also is getting teammates involved and figure out how to play together, which is a scary thought.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and for Atlanta, I just feel like their problem is their depth. I mean, in reality, they only go about 6 or 7 deep in terms of when they bring in, 8th and 9th guy, production goes way down. And, that's not a knock on anybody. I'm not saying any of those guys are just bad players, but I think it's just the fact that when you look at who Washington brings off the bench, they're bringing off, Bogdanovich. He can score the ball. They got Jennings, I believe.
Yeah.
He can be a nice addition for any bench. So for me, it's the fact that Washington just has a little more to offer you. Dwight Howard hasn't really been the same since basically he left the Lakers, in my opinion. Even there it was a little sketchy, but he just isn't the same player he once was.
You think we'll ever see the old Dwight Howard, or you think it's basically a wrap?
No. I mean, I'm not saying we won't see flashes of it ever again, but we'll never see the same consistency. I mean, he had a couple good years in Houston, but I just we'll never see the Orlando Dwight Howard again.
Yeah, no, he's not going to be that dominant player anymore.
No. I mean, I don't really know. It's like he doesn't have much offensive game. His defense is okay. He'll rebound the ball a little bit, but he's not doing anything very well. He's not a dominant force. I mean, he's probably one of the biggest guys I've seen in the NBA. I mean, he is broad. He's just big. You're not moving him at all. And I just feel like he doesn't take advantage of it anymore like he used to. So, I just feel like that Atlanta just has a few holes that I don't like. I mean, I love some of the players they have, Schroeder at point guard, Millsap, Hardaway. Hardaway had a nice second half of the year for them. I just don't know. They don't really have the experience, but they also don't really have the complete roster either. So, I mean, Washington not having the experience at least has a better roster to put on the floor. In my opinion.
Yeah, I can respect that. Do you have anything else to add to that, Darnell?
No.
Okay. All right, up next we have Milwaukee versus Toronto. The series tied 1-1. Thought Toronto would have been up 2-0, honestly, especially with Milwaukee not having a key guy with Parker, but they're grinding it out, man. It's tied 1-1. You was telling me through text, Darnell, about, just how pretty good you believe this Milwaukee team could compete against Toronto. So it's looking like it, man. If they keep it up, this could be a heck of a series.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like Milwaukee is that team, even though they don't have a great regular season record, they're a tough matchup for anybody. They're just one of those teams where they're lanky, they're long, and they play really good defense. Mm-hmm. So they just make life hell for whoever they're up against on a night-to-night basis. They're not more talented than anybody, but just they can just wreak havoc because of, and that's just what I saw there with this group coming into this game. Once I saw this series, I was like, wow, they might be able to cause some problems here.
Yeah, the one thing I kind of laughed about was, Kyle Lowry hit that nice, really iced it for them in game 2. But then after game 2, in the interviews, they were saying, yeah, we finally figured out Antetokounmpo. And I'm going, there's 82 games in the regular season. They're in your conference, and you're just now figuring him out. Like, you should have had him figured out. Like, if you stop him, you're stopping the team. He's a stat sheet stuffer. He does it all for them.
Man.
Yeah, he does it all for them. And I mean, I think he could win Most Improved Player of the Year. I think he's definitely right there in that discussion. He's a great player. They have a lot of nice young talent there in Milwaukee. I'm with you, Trey, though. I'm surprised it's not 2-0 Toronto.
Yeah.
DeRozan had a very quiet game 1. I don't think he didn't do a whole lot there. Yeah. But Lowry and DeRozan both played better game 2. I think their experience will win them this series. Their hunger to get back to the Eastern Conference Finals is going to be a little too much for Milwaukee to match up with. But yeah, I'm surprised this one's tied at 1s. Personally, I probably would have picked Toronto in the sweep. It'll be interesting to see how Milwaukee plays at home. See if they can at least split again. They just need to avoid losing both at home, really.
Yeah. I think once they get home with their crowd, they'll give them a run. I think they might be able to take one at home.
Yeah, and I think they can take one at home. I just don't want, personally, I just don't want to see Milwaukee, kind of either lose embarrassingly bad, get blown out by 40, which they potentially could against Toronto. If, Antetokounmpo's not hitting his shots, if they're not, protecting the rim, if DeRozan gets real hot, I feel like they could easily blow Milwaukee out in a couple of games. But like I said, I think their home crowd will have them energized. I think they'll be ready to play.
Let me ask you about your dog kid, Darnell. I know you've always followed him when he actually played on the court, but what do you think about his coaching so far?
I mean, I think he's done an admirable job. 2 years with Milwaukee, not having, their star that they were building around, 2 years in a row, losing him. And I think he's done a great job. I think he's been a big part of grooming Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Yeah.
So I think I have to give him a lot of credit with what he's done, building off of this. Hopefully, they can stay healthy for a whole year, so to see what they could be with totally healthy, and keep getting some pieces that they can move around and build his team. I'd like to see what he can do with a full roster.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too, man. I know they got Chris Middleton back. He had a crazy injury, but as soon as he got ready to come back, Jabari got hurt again. So, he's doing his thing right now in the playoffs. But I would really like to just see how he could handle this full team, a full healthy Milwaukee Bucks team. I think they can really do damage, especially with a completely healthy roster. So, looking forward to see what he can do next year and beyond, man. But all right, guys, you guys have anything else to have for this particular series?
No, this one could potentially get to 7 games.
Okay.
I think this is one that I would pick to potentially get to 7.
Yeah, if one could, I would go with this one too.
Yeah, I can agree with that as well. Just looking at all these teams that we got so far, yeah, I can agree with that as well. So, all right, up next we have Indiana and Cleveland. Cleveland's doing their thing right now. Indiana, I know Paul George called out my guy Lance Stevenson, talking about he needs to tone it down a little bit. But it's good to see. I've seen some flashes of the old Lance Stevenson, back when he was with Indiana a couple years back, that was my guy. So, it's good to see those little heat flashes of him again, man. But hopefully they can step it up and get some wins against Cleveland, though. Do you guys think this is going to be a sweep, or how you feeling about this Indiana team against Cleveland?
I mean, they've kept both games relatively close. It just seems like it's one of those situations where they really just don't have enough to get over the hump against a team like this. Next game will be in Indiana, so the old adage for a playoff series, it's not a series until somebody loses at home.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes, but I mean, I just don't think they have enough firepower to deal with Cleveland, even Cleveland, that I don't think is a very good team. I think they're atrocious on the defensive end, but I just don't think Indiana is that team that can scare.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm feeling the same. I think Cleveland should get past the series, no problem. I expect them to win game 3 and be in line for the sweep. Then Indiana might win one, try to save some face, kind of throw all they got right at Cleveland just to try and win one and not have the embarrassment of getting swept. But, for me, the reason I think Cleveland probably will sweep this series is just because at all the key positions, they're just better.
Mm-hmm.
Kyrie Irving over Jeff Teague, LeBron over Paul George, and Kevin Love over Miles Turner. I mean, I'll take Cleveland and all 3 of those positions over the Pacers. It didn't hurt Cleveland adding Darren Williams. It didn't hurt them adding Kyle Korver either. It just gives them a little more depth, a couple more options to go to. Like Jeff Teague comes off the floor, they're taking a hit. Paul George comes off the floor, they're taking a hit. At least if LeBron's off the floor, they could throw in Kyle Korver and he could rack up 6 or 9 points. I wouldn't trust many players coming off of that Indiana bench to get you 9 points. So
talking about Lance Stevenson, just like Trey's talking about. What do you mean?
Sorry, he needs to blow in somebody's ear first. He needs to blow in somebody's ear before he becomes the old Lance Stevenson. So, I just feel key positions. Cleveland has the big advantage. But like you said, their defense isn't there. Their defense is very poor right now. They're giving up just about anything and everything. So I wouldn't be surprised if the series stays close in terms of the score, but I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up being the sweep either.
Okay. Now you brought up Darren Williams, Tyler. I know we're only 2 games into the playoffs with the Cleveland Indiana series, but how do you think he's helped Cleveland so far, particularly in the playoffs?
Well, I mean, you're looking at a guy who's been an all-star, a guy who's played in the Western Conference Finals, to be your backup point guard. I don't see there being anything possibly wrong with that situation. The guy has the experience. He can play. I believe he's found his role with the team. He's comfortable with them now. I actually really like having a veteran backup point guard as opposed to just throwing some young guy in that position.
Yeah.
I know they drafted Kay Felder out of Oakland University.
Develop more, man.
Yeah, I would. I mean,
like Darren Williams, though, you know.
Yeah, it's very hard to pass on him. He was, at one time, Darren Williams was a top 3 point guard in the league.
Yeah.
And we see some moments of that. I mean, what did he have? 35 in one of the last regular season games of the year.
Yep.
He lit it up. So for me, where I think he's helping Cleveland is the experience. I mean, I don't think, I'm not saying Kyrie Irving doesn't have enough experience or anybody else on that roster doesn't have enough experience, but it's just having another guy that you could trust if you have to have the ball in his hands. And I don't think that could ever be overvalued.
Yeah. Like he's doing exactly what they expected. It's pretty much what LeBron wanted. If 10, 15 minutes a game, if we have to take Kyrie off the court, or if LeBron comes off the court, there's another ball handler that can facilitate.
Yeah.
I think that was basically the role that they needed for him. Like, he's not needed to put up a bunch of points. They don't need him to get 10 assists. He just needs to come in, play his 10, 15 minutes. If he can hit some open shots, cool. If find a couple people open, just as long as the ball keeps flowing. And that's what they need offensively. Cleveland is a light type team. They need ball movement. They are more of a perimeter shooting team. So they needed another point guard that could do that and not be a, or not know the right pass to make in this offense. So it was just a veteran guy that they could fit in, keep the game.
Yeah. All right, guys. How about Chicago and Boston? I heard some people say it was Boston possibly the worst number one seed in NBA history. I just don't know. I know this team is down 0-2 right now, but the key thing is I just don't know where Isaiah Thomas is at, mentally. This was a guy that was just crying a couple minutes right before the game a couple of days ago, which rightfully so. His sister passed away through a car accident. But I just don't know where he's at mentally, how his teammates know how to, comfort him and so forth. Does this guy really actually feel like playing, after going through such a tragic loss, in his life right now? And plus he's playing against a team that has two great veterans in, Rondo and Wade. These guys got championship experience, great playoff experience. They know how to play against a young team like Boston. So I just, Boston is an inexperienced, very young team coming into the playoffs. And then plus with Isaiah Thomas with his loss and what he's going through right now, I just, I can understand people saying this possibly may be the worst number one seed team in the NBA history, but I just don't know with just what's going on right now behind the scenes and everything like that. But it's definitely looking bad for Boston right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's looking bad for him. Definitely, I agree there. I'm not sure how much I put on Isaiah Thomas. I mean, he has a lot on his mind, but in game one that they lost, he put up 33. Had 6 boards and 6 assists. Like, I think he did his job. The only other people on the team you could really say had a pulse were Al Horford and Avery Bradley. There were only other 2 people in double figures in that first game. So I just think it comes down to, after all the work that they did during the regular season, the NBA is, once you get to the playoffs, it's kind of like, if you have a really good set of like 3 stars, you can beat a lot of teams just off the strength of that.
Yeah.
And Wade, Rondo, and Butler have come to life. Game 1, Butler played his tail off, put up 30. Wade and Rondo combined for another 22, and then in game 2, where Bulls just ran away with it, both Wade and Jimmy Butler put up 22 each.
Yeah.
And, Rondo was looking like he turned the clock back a few years, 11 points, 14 dimes last night. That's a vintage Rondo game. It's 1 rebound from a triple-double.
Yeah.
When you have that caliber of players in your starting lineup, and I'm not even mentioning Robin Lopez played a great game.
Yeah, he had a great game
too.
Him too, yep.
Yeah. Mirotic has been and the Bulls just have their players stepping up at the right time. Outside of the one that is going to step up for Boston, nobody else is stepping up to the challenge.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Could not agree more with that synopsis. Just Chicago's playing like they want advance, and Boston's too busy pointing the finger. So I don't think I've ever seen a 1-seeded team look so dysfunctional on the court. You got guys yelling at each other. You got Marcus Smart giving the finger to the crowd. They literally are just out of sorts. And there's really no one person to blame. It's a team thing. It's everybody to blame at this point. And they're down 0-2, need to figure something out. I wouldn't be surprised if they come out and win game 3. But like I said, like you were saying, Darnell, Chicago just has it right now, and they look really good. I really like the contribution they're getting from some unlikely guys. Robin Lopez, I don't think anybody is expecting to score over 10 points at all. He's filling it up. They're getting good play out of Wade, and not a lot of people would have expected him to play very well coming off the injury. And, he's looking like he hasn't missed the beat. So I just really like the way Chicago's playing. I really dislike the way Boston's playing. In terms of them being the worst number 1 seed ever, I don't know. I mean, I think a lot of that has to do with them being in an 0-2 hole. Granted, I don't like their roster for an NBA title run. I think they're I think they're a lot undersized. They'll get pushed around by bigger teams, out rebounded. And in reality, Jimmy Butler's just having his way on the floor. He's pushing whoever's guarding him around. Wade's playing with some finesse, really hitting some tough jumpers. Like you said, Rondo's looking like it's 2007, 2008. I almost don't know what to say about what we're watching, because it is the exact opposite of what I would have expected.
Yeah, so is it basically safe to say, do you guys think it's over for Boston, or you still give them a little?
I wouldn't say it's over, because if they come out and win the next 2, everybody goes, "Oh yeah, we knew this was a pretty good Boston." Anything can happen. If they come out and win game 3, people will reevaluate the way we're looking at the series. If they take both in Chicago, and then a lot of people say, "Yeah, Boston will win the series." So I think game 3 is going to be a big one. If Chicago goes up 3-0, I will say yes, definitely Boston's done. I just think that they need that Boston team needs to, hold hands and sing Kumbaya real quick, because they need to get it together.
All right.
I just don't see how they come and win 2 games in the shot. So, I mean, yeah, I'm pretty comfortable saying I think they're probably done for. I don't mind eating my words if I'm wrong on it, but just looking at it right now, I just don't see. They don't have a person on their team that can stop Jimmy Butler. And if Wade and Rondo played like this away from home, like how are they going to play at home? And Robin Lopez too. If he's putting up double digits 2 nights in a row in Boston, like what are they going to do comfortably? They might win by 30 next game.
All right, guys. Anything left to say for the Eastern Conference, the playoff bracket?
Nah, I think just real quick, the question coming in was, will Boston make it to the Eastern Conference Finals when they make it out of the Eastern Conference? I mean, I don't think Boston's a scare for them at all right now. And a lot of people thought that could be the one team to really hang with them. I wouldn't give them a snowball's chance in hell as of now. So I guess
talking about
Trey, you're looking at, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't think Boston would give Cleveland a run at all.
Okay.
As of now, it looks like the team with the best shot is going to be your Wizards.
Yeah. You agree with that, Darnell?
Oh yeah. I mean, because of how bad defensively Cleveland is, Boston might match up a little better with them. But they would probably give up so many points just because Isaiah Thomas and Kyrie Irving would be washed. Just they would probably average 35 against each other because neither one of them really care to guard anybody. They don't have a single person that can cover LeBron, and Kevin Love take a pick and probably have somebody for lunch on Boston's team as well. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't pick Boston in a series against them, but they honestly probably match up a little better with them than Chicago, just because Chicago actually does have some defensive intensity.
Yeah. All right, guys. Start the Western Conference off with their playoff bracket. We're going to go with San Antonio and Memphis. San Antonio's up 2-0 right now against Memphis. I know their coach, Memphis coach David Fizdale, he's pretty fired up post game for game 2, talking about just with the foul calls and everything. But how do you guys feel about this matchup? You think it's safe to say San Antonio is going to sweep it? They got it in the bag, or what? How you guys feel?
I mean, it's looking like they want to sweep it. I mean, neither game has been really close. 14-point win most recently in, 19? 2 games ago?
Yeah.
Or no. 29, actually, wasn't it? So, yeah, just the Spurs are being the Spurs. Not really, like nobody's talking about them, but they just go in, they get them dubs.
Yep.
And everybody's playing well as expected. You know, you got Kawhi and Aldridge pretty much destroying them. And, you know, they're playing Spurs basketball. Not really exciting, but
get the job done, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of, they just have that, you know, lunch pail mentality. You bring it every day and you go to work.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's safe to say the Spurs are going to win the series. I wouldn't be surprised if they do sweep. You know, Kawhi Leonard's the new face of the Spurs. Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili are still around, but they're filling more role spots for the team. And, you know, it doesn't look like they're missing Tim Duncan too much. So, you know, Pop's still doing his thing. And I would love to see the Spurs play the Warriors in the Western Final. I think that's kind of what everybody wants to see at this point. So, you know, I'm going to be pulling for the Spurs the whole way to the Western Conference Finals. I will say, though, in terms of Memphis, I loved hearing their coach really get in, defend those players, call out the refs. I was all for that. You know, he feels that, you know, his players aren't getting the fouls called. They're not getting the same respect. But the thing is, he sees his guys out there getting frustrated, and he's like picking up their frustration for them. And I think as a coach, that is very important.
Absolutely.
He's trying to really rally his guys, say, don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. Got fined $30,000 and the players picked it up for him. Like, that's just great stuff to see.
Yeah.
I'm not one for, you know, going out and just blaming refs or anything like that, but calls were a little they were kind of a lot lopsided, but and I agree with him because, you know, with Marc Gasol and Zach Randolph, you're down low, pounding the ball inside, and you're not going to get fouls. I mean, not too many teams play down low as much as Memphis does, but you usually get the calls when you go down low, and for them to not get many calls is pretty absurd. I mean, Kawhi Leonard shot more free throws than the whole entire Memphis team.
Yep.
Like, something like that shouldn't happen in any game.
Yeah.
I'm not saying just this one. That one player should not outshoot a team in free throws.
Yeah. Especially like you said with that grinded out basketball Memphis plays.
It's a little ridiculous. But, you know, despite the ref situation, despite you know, what Memphis believes, the Spurs are just a better team, and I expect that to still be the case moving forward.
Yeah. All right. Anything else to add for this game, guys?
No.
Okay. Up next, we have Utah and the LA Clippers. This series is tied 1-1 right now. A little bit nervous for the Clippers, to be honest. I think especially with Gobert, getting injured, first 13 seconds of the game, I think they should have pounced on that and, definitely been up 2-0. But Utah, they've been sticking with them, so far, but, definitely believe with a guy like Gobert, what he brings, especially to the defense side of Utah. I think definitely, the Clippers should have stuck it out and won the first game and been up 2-0. But, how do you guys feel about this matchup?
I'm kind of with you, Trey. I do feel that there should be some concern for the Clippers. Granted, they only won game 2 by 8 points.
Yeah.
So it's not like they handled them without Gobert in. It's still there for Utah. I would like to see Utah move on. I like their team. I like some of the young talent that they have. And I also just think that the window for the Clippers is long gone and they're not going to get that championship they thought they would get with this roster.
Yeah.
So, I'm ready to see another team kind of start moving up in the ranks in the Western Conference. Gordon Hayward is the leader of that team, and I don't think there's much question about that.
Yeah.
Joe Johnson has proved to be a very nice addition for them. He brings some experience, some leadership. He made the big buzzer beater in game 1, so can't get much bigger than that for him. But just the age of the Clippers, I think, is catching up to him. I actually, I expect Utah to win this series. I think it'll take 6 or 7, but I expect them to win it.
You expect Utah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you kind of answered what I was about to ask, Tyler.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all were saying you guys have concern with Clippers. It's like concern, like, Trey, are you one of those still, holding out that the Clips actually have an outside chance of making it to the finals or Eastern Conference Finals or something like that?
Yeah, I don't think they're going to make it to the finals, man. I think, after last year, when it fell, even though I believe, Chris Paul had an injury, I think it was time for them to, break the team up apart. I think they're being a little stubborn right now, just in believing in themselves, but I think it's got to get to the point where Doc got to say, okay, Blake or, Chris Paul or, DeAndre Jordan, I'm going to have to part ways with one of you guys is bringing some talent or something. Cause I could see them going the second round, but I don't think that they'll be able to make it to the Western Conference Finals. I think this team, they need to blow it up. So that's just how I'm feeling with it.
Yeah, I agree. Like, the ceiling I had for the Clippers this year, probably even before the playoffs started, was probably a second round exit.
Yeah.
I just feel like that window has been shut and they put bars on it. Like, it's not opening back up. Unless, this version, I should say. Yeah. I agree this time, in the off season, it's probably time to see what you can get for Blake. I think that's really your only tradable piece where you can get some pieces.
Yeah.
You might be able to get, maybe something for DeAndre Jordan, but I just feel like his, free throw deficiencies kind of hold back anybody who really wanting to throw out anything.
Especially crunch time, fourth quarter. Yeah.
Yeah. For a player that you might not be able to keep on the court in the fourth. He's athletic. He's good defensively, but, you gotta be able to get one out every 2 free throws when you're a center. So, I feel like Blake's probably on the move if they're smart. I'm not sure what you get with Chris Paul these days. I'm not sure how many upper level years he has left anyway.
Yeah.
So I think Blake is the one that you start shopping just because he still has 4 or 5 all-star level years left to him, I think. So, but as far as the series goes, what you should have for a 4-5 matchup. These should be the two teams that are most evenly matched. With you guys, when the Bear went out, you would have thought the Clippers would have smelled blood and pounced on it, but nope, they let Utah stay ahead, and they let old ISO Joe get them at the end, that game winner. They came back and brought it a little more in game 2. Came out with an 8-point victory, but
still think it should have been a larger margin.
Yeah.
So
now, how do you?
So this is one that will probably go 6 or 7.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you think Utah? Are you siding with Tyler as well, Darnell? You think Utah might pull this off, or what do you think?
Have we heard it? Like, I didn't even watch last game. Was Gobert fine?
Well, he didn't play game 2, and that's why we're concerned with it only being an 8-point victory for the Clippers in game 2. I haven't heard whether he's out playing. Like, I think we'll hear a couple hours before game time. But
last I heard, he didn't tear anything.
Yeah, there was no
structural damage, but status still uncertain. So
So I guess it comes down to that.
Yeah,
if he makes it back on the court, I would probably lean more Utah. But if he's not playing, LA can probably win 4 games by 5 to 8 points each, and sneak by. It might not be impressive, but they have the talent where they should be a limp in Utah.
Yeah. I think if Gobert, if he can come back within game 3 or game 4, Utah, I'm going to side with Utah. But if it's late, like a game 5 or so, I'm going to go side with the Clippers on this one. Just very disappointed in that first game performance. When he came out and got injured within the first 13 seconds of the game, should have been okay. We're about to kill this team, but still lost the game. So very disappointed in that. But either way, I only see this team possibly going second round, and that's it. So just have to see. All right, guys. Up next, we have Portland and Golden State. Portland is down 0-1, I believe. Golden State, I believe you guys said before the show that Durant, he's not going to be able to play tonight. Should Golden State have any concern?
Yeah, he's been ruled out for tonight.
Yeah, should they have any concern with his injury or anything? And you still think they should dominate Portland with Durant out? Like, how do you guys feel?
I don't think they should be concerned. I mean, he'll be back by next game probably. If they had to wait till an hour and a half, 2 hours before game time before they ruled him out, he's not that bad off. So they'll probably be back by game 3. They have 1 game cushion. I'm pretty sure they want to win both your games at home. But Portland is capable of going off. They have some scorers on that team. So, I wouldn't say, I'm not saying Golden State's losing this game, but I'm not guaranteeing a victory either since they're not at full strength because, McCollum and Lillard, they can go off. They did in game 1.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. They were pretty much neck and neck with Golden State up until the 4th quarter where Golden State pulled away. But those 2 players combined 75 against them. They need a little bit more help from others on the team. But a lot of times, if you can have 2 players combined 75 points, probably win the game against pretty much anybody else outside of a loaded Golden State.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think there's any concern about KD being out. Kind of like you said, Portland has the ability to score the ball, but the only problem is that comes from 2 guys. They went off in the first game and still lost by more than a couple of points. So I just think Golden State, their defense is too good for Portland. I mean, Draymond Green's just an animal. He killed it on the defensive end of the floor, especially in the fourth quarter in game one. I just don't see Portland having an answer for that. I don't think I'm ever concerned with Golden State offensively. They'll be what they are, shooting the three. It's just whether it goes in or not. But I think more so it's the fact that Golden State limits teams. Draymond rebounds the ball. They all try to get in on the rebounding. And Portland's just going to be dependent on what McCollum and Lillard can do. It hurts to only have a couple options offensively, and that's all they are, where Golden State has four guys on the floor just about all times that can score. So they just have more firepower. They just have a little bit more to offer on both ends of the floor. It'll be interesting to see how Golden State tries to slow down Lillard and McCollum. I don't think you can stop them, but it'll be interesting to see what they do to try and slow them down tonight. And yes, I see a sweep here.
See a sweep?
Oh.
Yes, I see a sweep.
How you feeling, Darnell?
I won't be surprised.
I think probably Portland gets one of their home games.
Okay.
So probably 5-game series.
So you don't think that Portland's going to win this in 5?
I don't. Right.
Let's see, man.
Yeah, I couldn't believe anybody said that.
You know people that said that?
Yeah, players on Portland.
Oh, hey, 420's
They were
here, man. They might have been smoking that stuff. So
they were saying we're not. Yeah, they came out and said, basically we're not scared of anybody. We can play with anybody in the league.
Hey, getting ready for 420, dog. It's all right.
It's legal in Oregon.
Oh yeah, it is. Okay, yeah, they puffing up, man. But all right, guys. OKC versus Houston. Houston leads this 1-0 at the moment, but OKC how they're playing right now, if they keep it up, it could be tied 1-1. They can keep the lead. So, what about this series? Last week was it? I think this was one of your guys' must-watch games for the series opener so far. How do you feel about this one?
Well, game one was a must-watch because it was a slaughter. But this game's been a lot better coming in. Westbrook is back to his triple-double flirting ways. As I'm talking, he's one rebound shy of a triple-double. With 37 points, I think. So,
that's
ridiculous. But yeah, we're getting what we thought this would be a back and forth series. And it's turning into, like we figured, the Harden Westbrook show. So I'm feeling a little better now watching this game too. That even though OKC is probably severely under-talented compared to Houston, they're starting to show some fire, so it's turning into a series now.
Yeah, Westbrook's just going off tonight, but I still like Houston in this series. I think they once again just have a better roster. Better rosters win in the first series 9 times out of 10. So, I'm still gonna go with Houston to win the series without too much hassle, but I still think they're gonna have to fight every game. But yeah, I still think every game of the series is gonna be must watch because a lot of people view this as, the two top MVP candidates battling it out basically. So, I think just for entertainment value, this one has it. Really, for me, more than any other series, although that Boston-Chicago series is starting to gotta watch just because I need to see if Chicago can keep it up. But, I don't think I didn't expect Oklahoma City to make it to the playoffs, so I don't think many people expected them to win this series. And it's mainly just because Oklahoma City is a one-man show. They don't have anything outside of Westbrook. And in reality, that's showing tonight. I mean, Westbrook is 36. Their next leading scorer is Roberson with 10.
Yeah.
Like you're just not going to be able to do that. If Portland can't win with two guys putting up almost north of 80, I don't think Oklahoma City is going to be able to do it with one guy. Although their benefit is the fact that the Rockets like to shoot a ton of threes, and right now they've missed a ton of threes, 4 of 18 from three. They're shooting 22%.
Yeah.
You're just not going to be able to do that if you're Houston. That's how you're going to lose this series, trying to shoot those threes and not be able to make them. So that will definitely be their demise.
All right, guys. Anything else to add for this series, or anything else for the NBA playoffs?
No, I think we covered quite a bit tonight in terms of the playoffs, but just real quick, only because I know we talked about it a little last week, but based off of what we've seen so far between Westbrook and Harden, do you think either of them are taking it as like a one-on-one matchup, make it personal, I'm going to show you up kind of a thing? Like, do you think that's more Westbrook knowing he doesn't really have the roster than Harden knowing he has the roster and they'll probably win the series? So he's not going 150%, where Westbrook's basically throwing everything in the kitchen sink at him.
I don't feel like it's a one-on-one situation just because Russ, him and Harden are actual friends still. Yeah. Yeah. It's just the way Russ plays, he takes everything as a challenge. So
yeah,
one intense player in the NBA. So it's just that's going to be the case. Every night he's going to have that snarl like he hates everybody that's in front of him.
Yeah, I can agree with that, man. No days off. Had a tough loss.
Days off.
Yeah.
No days off.
Yeah, had a tough loss, the first game, and, he's almost got a triple-double in the third quarter, this game. So just going out there, man, doing what he has to do to get a dub for his team. So, just a competitor in him. But all right, guys, next thing we're about to talk about is the New York Knicks. Just what do you think's in store for them, with the Knicks, Phil Jackson and Carmelo. How it sounds is like Carmelo's about to lose the only ring he's got, man, with that divorce.
Oh, that's cold.
Oh no.
That's so cold.
Oh, man.
For the record, Tran came up with that. Darnell and I had nothing to do with that comment that was just made. We take no responsibility for Tran's actions.
Oh, man. I had to, man.
Don't shoot these messengers. Bad match.
We can personally give you his email address.
Oh, man. Yeah, guys, just how you feeling, man?
Man. Well, I mean, just outside of personal issues, which seem to be persistent and stuff, it's just, you got your team president basically saying he's been your best player for the last, since he's been there. He wants him gone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Especially when a guy has really not done anything to be a distraction in the media or on the court. Phil has been a distraction.
Yeah.
Like the president of basketball operations has been a petty child in this whole deal. Like it's almost to the point where I feel like Phil is trying to get himself fired. Like he's just so sick of this job that he knows if he gets fired, he gets to keep that contract.
Yeah.
But if he quits, he's not getting the rest of his money. So how do I get the rest of my money? I'm about to talk a bunch of trash and just say outlandish stuff.
Yeah.
Carmelo gone. I want the guy that came here and said he wants to retire a Knick. I want him gone.
Yeah.
And just, who does this? The team is terrible. When you talk about you want somebody gone, you need to be trying to figure out how to put pieces there so you can, not be the laughing stock of the NBA.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's the Knicks.
Yeah.
Always ridiculous.
Well, I mean, I think now we can kind of look back at their off season last year and kind of chuckle a little bit. I mean, didn't work out at all. Joakim Noah ended up getting suspended, and D Rose got hurt, and it's just a train wreck that we all expected to happen when they came out and said, what, they're going to be the best team in the Eastern Conference. So
the new big three.
Yeah, the new big three. Yeah, the Knicks are not a destination. I think people would actually prefer to avoid playing there. I kind of feel bad for Porzingis kind of getting wrapped up in all this circus. He didn't do anything, but I actually like him as a player. Seems like a good dude, but for me, the Knicks are starting to become just the team that everybody loves to talk about, talk about their struggles, talk about their downfalls, but the people in New York, they kind of hold them to that high standard still, but the standard's not there. And their fans feel they have more right to talk trash about them than you do, just so they could still have one up on you. And, they need to clean house. They need to clean up that front office. They need to move on from a couple pieces of their roster.
Dolan needs to sell the team.
Yeah. Charles Oakley needs to, figure out what he's doing with the Knicks, and they need to figure out what they're doing with him. It's just everything that could have gone wrong for them this year went wrong. Yeah. And just sometimes you see it coming. And I think we all kind of saw it coming. Maybe not to this extent, but, I think we all saw them struggling this year. We all knew they weren't a big three. They never played like one. D Rose is can I say that he's on the last leg of his career? Like, is that an appropriate pun?
Yeah.
Joakim Noah had a terrible year coming into this one, so we didn't expect much out of him. So, I mean, the thing with Jackson, Phil Jackson, I'm with you, Darnell. I think he's just trying to play his time out, end up getting that final check, and then he'll be done. I don't think anybody really wants him there anymore. It's just a sad situation, a great basketball mind like his, having this on his record, I guess. People will remember this. They won't let it go. Especially those New York fans, when all the Bulls fans say, yeah, well, he won us, championships. They'll be like, yeah, well, he screwed us over. So it'll just be interesting banter going back and forth.
Coaching and running the team are different things.
Yeah. I mean, they're two different things, but the Bulls, Chicago will love them, New York will hate them, and it's just going to be how it is for the rest of eternity. So, it's a sad situation, but hey, sometimes franchises go through it.
Yeah.
But you gotta figure the Knicks have to figure something out.
I mean, one day they will.
What star is gonna do soon? What star player is gonna want to go to a team where the president,
especially how they're
yeah, and that's why I think they have to clean house in that front office. the whole situation needs to just kind of hit the reset button. Everything about that franchise.
Now, I came across an article, it was either today or yesterday, but there was an article saying that, the Detroit Pistons, should trade for Melo. So we from Detroit area, guys. How would you guys feel about that? You think he would, fit well with the Pistons?
Well, I think it would be what we have to give up for him.
Oh,
yeah.
It would have to be what we give up for him if it would even work. They're probably going to want half the roster for him, so therefore I don't think it would even happen. But yeah, I don't think he'd be too much to fit. He's a volume shooter. And that's just not what the Pistons really have ever been as a franchise. That's not what Stan Van Gundy is as a coach.
Yeah.
So he's not a fit to begin with. And if they wanted him, they should have drafted him. Yeah. Many years ago. That would have been the time to have him. They probably would have won another championship if they drafted him. Or two.
And going back to my earlier statement, like, okay, team president throwing that dirt on him, really what did they expect to get trade right now?
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm negotiating with Phil Jackson, it's like, you want him gone, I'll give you a second round pick right now. I mean, like, he's talked to him to the point where really, is he worth more than that to the Knicks?
Yeah.
Doesn't sound like it. He's worth that to the president of operations. Sounds like garbage. He wants him gone. So I'll throw you a quarter, basically, as far as NBA terms go. I wouldn't give up much if he's talking like that, but he wants him gone. They can get rid of him and keep a star piece. Like get rid of some lower talent, maybe, and then see if you can ship Jackson or Drummond and get a couple more pieces. I guess in that way maybe, but like Ty was saying, we have to change what it is.
Yeah. All right, guys. Do you have any final statements? Anything left to add for the show before we get ready to pack it up?
Yeah, try and move on from Lance Stevenson, please.
Lance Stevenson.
Yeah, move on. Move on.
That was my dude, man. Yeah, when he was originally with the Pacers and left, it was trash. So I'm seeing some flashes of him, man. But you know, with Paul George talking about him, sneak dissing him in the post game and stuff like that. So it's looking like it, man.
Well, and I say until the Knicks can prove me wrong, I will not even call them the Knicks. They will be the New York Tire Fire.
All right. All right, man. Sounds good.
I'll hold you to that too.
All right.
Gladly.
All right, man. Next time we talk about it, man, that's what I want to hear. So, but all right, guys. As always, I appreciate y'all tuning in to the show. You can check us out on Twitter at DKM_cast. You can also find this podcast on, SoundCloud, YouTube, Stitcher, iTunes. Just hit us up in the search engine. Also want to encourage you to check out my cousin's YouTube channel, The Black Scat Pack. He's back making videos now. So, huge shout out to him. But as always, I appreciate y'all checking us out. Y'all take care. Peace.